Well, welcome to the Tiny House Volume 4, or is it 5? I don't even know anymore. Rough day today. Rough day yesterday. But you can see everything's coming along. Just the bullshit never ends. That's all. But you can see I've basically got my stuff organized. I have a workspace set up. I even have a makeshift TV. If you open up this antique desk, you pull out this older MacBook from 2012 that I don't really use. I can plug that in right there on that desk, and then I can open this thing up, and I've got a remote control for it right there. And I can sit there and I can watch my buddy's Plex server and pull up all kinds of movies and shows. And I use Amazon enough that I pay for Amazon Prime and I can watch stuff on there. So I have a little bit of a TV and my comfy plastic Adirondack chair, my footstool, my little side table. You know, I can relax a little bit. It's not, it's like living in a camper. But I'm going to hit stop and get into the face forward mode. I can't flip it while I'm recording at the same time. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. It is hashtag, I am so freaking exhausted. I shouldn't have even tried to shoot a video today. Today was kind of a crappy day. Not like horribly crappy, but it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot better. So it is Tiny Housin Volume 5. This is the 5th video from the Tiny House. I can't make a nice backdrop behind me, no matter what way I point this camera. So you get to see the spray foam ceiling, the half-assed curtains that weren't even ironed, and you get to see my ugly ass. So like I said in the last video, the hot water heater is not completely broken, but it's not working right. So the water is like, the water in the shower it's not ice cold, but it's not warm. It's right in that middle state. It's not comfortable. I can only stand to take like a 5-minute shower. The George Carlin, armpits, asshole, teeth, and crotch. Your 4 basic areas that George Carlin talked about. Those are the only parts that I'm washing in the shower right now, and I'm not trying to take anything longer than I need to. So that is a little bit dismal. Today was my second day off. Today was my second day off without having to lift heavy boxes and try to organize. Monday was all about cycling 40 miles to go to the bakery and back. Tuesday was all about lifting heavy boxes and just organizing this space, and walking over to Target with a heavy backpack and coming back with a heavy backpack. And by the time all that stuff was said and done, I was pretty much spent. Tuesday. Yesterday I didn't leave. I opened up the door to the cabin twice, just poked my head outside, shut the door behind me, and stayed in. Yesterday was all about setting up computer equipment, setting up the internet, setting up electronics, setting up a workspace. You saw it when I walked in today. So I'm pretty comfortable with that. My computer equipment works. I've got some, a nice Bluetooth speaker set up. I've got different things. I've got, a couple of desks to work at, my nice office chair. Everything's kind of dialed in, and that works pretty good. I'm happy with that setup. It's comfortable. It's quiet enough. I did a few things, but I really haven't. I'm like pretty much out of energy. Today I was hoping to have more, I was hoping to get more done today. But when I woke up, I lounged around for a little bit, and then I went to take a shower. I stepped 1 foot inside the shower. Oh, hold on.
Hey.
Hey.
I got you hooked up. It's fucking draining and spinning. I'll play off with night.
I'm not messing with it. So, that was one of the other people that live in the main house here. I'm just gonna get into what's going on and why I'm frustrated and irritated right now. But it's not really. Things have been so much worse over the last year that it's just God trying to test my patience. The bike ride's cool. I spent some time. I have to commute tomorrow to go to the bakery. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to get into start out with the negative stuff, and then I'll move to the positive stuff. So like I was saying before, someone knocked on the door here. I woke up, I lounged around, I was about to take a shower. I literally had 1 foot inside the shower. Pew! Power goes out. And it wasn't just this house. It had nothing to do with the landlord, this house, anything to do with this house. I could hear one of the neighbors' Generacs kick in. So it was the whole neighborhood was out of power. The positive that came out of it, I found out who the power company is. I was able to go to their website. Most power companies now have a power outage map, and they'll kind of tell you what's going on. So I was able to kind of figure out what was going on by using my phone and going to their website, going to the power outage map, and power was out for about an hour. It messed with my computers a little bit. I have a lot of hard drives plugged in. I had to tinker around with things when the power came back on, even though I unplugged everything I unplugged all the drives and the power cord to the computer and the plug from the wall that controls all of my electronics, just in case of a power surge or the flickering on and off when they turn the power back on. I just wanted to make sure that, it wouldn't glitch out any worse. But at the end when everything was said and done, everything worked. Everything worked. Everything's fine. It was just, when you have all this stuff hooked up, it doesn't like it when you just go pew with the power and just shut it off at the blink of an eye. I have a powered USB hub with 5 hard drives plugged into it. And so it needs an external power supply because it all feeds into one USB port on the MacBook that they're plugged into. And the MacBook can't supply enough power through that USB cord to power 5 hard drives at once that are plugged into it. So the hub has its own power supply. When the power was cut to that hub, even though the MacBook has a battery and it stays running, the hard drives were just glitching out and disconnecting and reconnecting and acting a fool because there's not enough power going to those drives to run them. So that's kind of it's one of those things that, it's just add it to my freaking list. But, it's not the first time the power's gone out. And it didn't do no harm, no foul. But it was frustrating because for over an hour I didn't sit in the dark. I have these things. I had one of these in each of my vehicles before I was arrested. And it is a 73 watt-hour power supply battery, and you can see they have a little light here. It also has a port with a special cable. You can jump start a car with this thing. They're badass. But 73 watt hours. When you convert that to milliamp hours, that's around 15 to 20,000 milliamp hours. So when you have a phone battery, and the most phone batteries are about 5,000 milliamp hours, I can throw one of those in my cycling backpack with the knowledge that I can charge my phone probably 4 times from completely dead to completely full before that backup power supply drains. And like I said, those little bricks have enough power to jumpstart a car. You can run some serious stuff off of those 2 little bricks. But I had the lamps, so I had 2 emergency lights, flashlights, whatever I could see. It wasn't a big deal. I had my phone, and like I said, I had I could charge my phone 8 times before I would run out of those battery bricks. Plus, I have other power supplies. I could probably go days without power and keep a phone running. So I was able to, mess around on the phone and just, entertain myself for the hour without power. Well, then when the power came back on, I wasn't in the mood to take a shower again. And so I did some other things. Organized some electronics some more. I've been messing around with this T-Mobile internet connection, this T-Mobile wireless home gateway. I'm glad that in the last video I talked about how I wasn't in the mood to start setting that thing up because swear words were going to come flying out of my mouth, and they did. More because T-Mobile doesn't give you any instructions on how to set the thing up. They tell you the instructions are plug in the thing, turn it on, and then go to this app on your phone. Well, number one, the app that they tell you to download doesn't exist. They changed the name of the app from T-Mobile Home Internet to T-Life or something like that. This T-Life app is a steaming pile of fucking garbage. It is one of the worst, buggiest pieces of software I've used in a very long time. It's horrendous. Being a software designer, I can say that it's one of the worst pieces of garbage I've used in a long time. And for me to say that, that's definitely... Hold on a second. What is this? I can't even shoot a video today because I'm just going to be getting... No, I don't need that. Anyway, I'm just getting bombarded with nonsense today. So it's plug and play, but what they didn't tell you in any of the instructions is that there's a default network name and a default password printed right on the back of the gateway. Like most routers that are served to you from the cable companies and such, they come with some sort of default like that. But they'll tell you in the instructions, look for the default network, look for the default password, log into this app and change it around if you want. Well, the app is so terrible. It's really difficult to get into the app and then let alone do anything with the app. It's buggy, it's garbage. Another problem with it is most routers, most gateways, most devices like this, you can network into them from another computer without having to be on the internet. Most routers have a default IP address. It's usually 192.168.1.1 or something along those lines. You can connect directly to the router and configure it from a computer or a phone without having to be on the internet, because the router is in between your device and the internet. The router is taking the internet signal and spreading it out through your home or whatever. If you have a cable modem from an ISP, from a land cable provider, it's usually a little box, and then you plug that box into your router, and then you can usually configure both the router and the device from any computer on your network internally without the thing having to even be online. This T-Mobile gateway when you type in the default IP address, it just shows a status bar. It tells you whether it's connected to the internet or not, but it has no configuration options. You have to log into T-Mobile's app, this buggy app, and configure the router from the app, which means the only way you can configure or do anything with that router is if you're connected to the internet with your phone. And so you need a phone that's, obviously most people have a phone, but you need a phone, like, let's just say this gateway is flaking out and can't get on the internet. You need a phone, an actual phone that is connected to the internet independent of that device, or you cannot access that device or configure it in any way, shape, or form. You can't do anything to it without logging into T-Mobile's infrastructure, configuring it, and then T-Mobile sends a data packet to it with the configuration that you've set it up with. I don't know exactly how it works. All I know is that you cannot mess with this thing without the app, and the app is complete trash. On the positive side of it, though, for a home internet, like basically using the same cellular towers that your phone uses, the speed's pretty quick. It's not bad. The upload speed's a bit shitty. It's right now I'm averaging about 20 megabits per second upload speed, but my download speeds can be anywhere from 75 to 400 megabits per second, depending on when I run a speed test, the time of day. It varies, and your phone signal will vary throughout the day, depending on the network congestion and other factors, what tower it's connected to, and all those kinds of things. That all has an effect on your speed. But my download speed's fine. For anything I'm going to do, 25 megabits per second and up is fine for anything I need to do, including streaming video. The only drawback is if you're a gamer, I would not recommend this thing because your upload speeds seems to be capped or throttled by T-Mobile to max out at about 20 megabits per second going upstream, which is fine for my needs, but it's not good overall. Your upload speed's always going to be slower than your download because the cable companies throttle and they prioritize download speeds over upload speeds. That's typical. Net neutrality, the laws that were repealed, would have put the kibosh on that shit. When they were talking about how evil net neutrality was a set of laws that would make it illegal for internet companies to throttle your bandwidth, put data limit caps on how much usage you could have every month, and other protections for you, the consumer. But they lobbied the shit out of the government and got those things overturned, and that's why you have data bandwidth caps and limits, and then the companies throttle your internet speeds, and they prioritize certain websites over others in terms of which ones they're going to allow to come through their system faster than others. They control the size of the pipe that the data moves through, and it's all part of the big censorship and control game. And we did have laws to protect us from them doing that, but they're gone. That all got defeated. Probably, I think it was when Bush and Obama were president. I mean, this has been when all of that unlimited data stopped. And now, even if you get an unlimited data plan, T-Mobile for your phone, if you have an unlimited data plan and you use 50 gigabytes in a month, they throttle your connection to almost an unusable speed after the 50 gigabytes has been used up. I've experienced this over and over because it was my only primary internet connection was using this phone. Now, this home hotspot that I have does not have a bandwidth cap. So they're supposed to give me whatever available speed is available, and they even guarantee a certain minimum speed. But I'm supposed to be able to have that speed at all times. If I use 300 gigabytes, and I think if I used 2 terabytes in a month, they would start to cap it or throttle the speed or do something about it. But that's all in the fine print, and the most I ever use is around 250 gigabytes in a month, and that's if I'm watching Netflix all day, every day. Let's see. So I got my shower eventually. I went through some more electronic hassles. I have a Garmin fitness watch. I was wearing it the night that the FBI stormed my house. When they arrested me and took me to jail, I was barefoot, had on a pair of jeans with no belt and no shirt, nothing. Just a pair of jeans, like I was wearing literally a pair of jeans and a Garmin fitness watch, and that was it. That's all I had. No, I had a belt, but it wasn't buckled, and I never got a chance to buckle it. They let me say goodbye to my son when they had me in a holding cell while they were trying to interrogate me. And my son took my belt and my fitness watch and held on to it for me, because when I stopped to see my son on the way to Texas, he gave me the fitness watch back. But it takes a special cable to charge it. I just threw it in a box and said, okay, cool, maybe I'll use that again. Well, over the last couple of days, while I'm going through all my stuff, I pull out the fitness watch. I'm like, oh, cool. I set it off to the side. And then as I'm going through some more stuff, oh, the charge cable, cool. Set it off to the side. And now this thing is like 3-4 years old. The last time I ever used it was August 12th, 2022, the night I was arrested. It was on my wrist. That's the last time it was used. That was the last time it was ever charged. That's the last time it was messed with. So I plugged in the charger, let it sit for a while. It charged up to 100%, and I was just about to reconfigure it and start using it again, and poof, it died. I plugged the charger back in. I plugged it back into a power brick, and I let it sit there. I let it sit for almost 24 hours. The thing won't turn on. It won't boot up. It won't turn on. It just comes up with a Garmin logo on the screen, and then it shuts off. So basically what it's telling me, the battery's done, hosed. Just like when you buy a new Tesla, the car could be perfectly fine. But a few years after you buy that Tesla, your battery's not going to charge anymore. And so you'll have a perfectly good car with a bad battery. And guess what? It costs like $30,000 to replace the battery. So there goes all the money that you saved on gas. All you people who own the electric vehicles, you're going to find out that you got a perfectly good working vehicle that you can't get power to because the battery costs more than the car. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother topic for another video. So on a whim, since I was kind of flaked out today, I get on the phone, right? Not the phone, but I get on the online chat on Garmin's website. And, Team India answers the call. But since I'm texting, I'm typing on the computer. And of course they ask me, did you plug the charger in? Did you plug it into the power thing? Did you clean the contact? All the things that anybody with half a brain would do before calling. And so I'm just like, I'm being very polite to the woman. And I'm just answering her questions. I was messing around with other stuff. And I was looking at other things. And this was kind of off to the side. The woman said she's going to replace it. That Garmin's going to replace it and send me a new one. They offered me two options. One option, I go to the UPS store with a pre-printed shipping label. I don't even have to print the shipping label. I just have to go to the UPS store, show them a barcode on my phone, have the item in a box, which it's already in the box, ready to go, and they will print a barcode, and they will print the shipping label, put it on, and ship it for me. If I ship it first, then I wait until Garmin receives the product, and then Garmin will send me a new one, and it's all completely free. The other option was I could pay them $178 as a deposit. They would ship me a new one right away, and then they would refund the $178 after they get the old one back. And I'm like, nah, I think I'll do it the other way around, because, I mean, I was just going to throw this thing away. I was about to throw this thing away and just say, screw it. That's that. Because I know that these things have a 1-year warranty, and I bought it in the spring of 2022. So it's 3 years old. I didn't think anything, I didn't expect them to do anything, but I figured, why not? You never know unless you try, right? So Garmin's sending me a new fitness watch. I don't know, it might be a refurbished one. It might be a brand new one. I don't know. We'll find out when I find out, but I really didn't lose anything, because I'm not losing anything, because otherwise, either way, I don't have a fitness watch. I don't have the thing. It's the Vivo Smart 5. It's like a Fitbit sized watch. It does a lot of stuff. It'll give me heart rate data when I go on bicycle rides. It synchronizes with other apps that I use for my cycling, and I thought it would be cool to wear it while I'm exercising and just tracking things. Why not? I have it, may as well use it. So thumbs up to Garmin on that, at least so far, for honoring a warranty that expired 2 years ago and sending me another device. So that was kind of a cool thing to have happen today. Aside from that, what else? Oh, so I've been eating better today and yesterday. I'm going to get around to starting to respond to all the comments that have been flying at me over the last few days, and there's a ton of them. There's a ton. And I'm going to get a bunch more from this video before I respond to any of them, because I'm just tired. I'm burned out. I don't have time. I got to go on another 40-mile bike ride tomorrow and spend all day working at the bakery. And so here's what happened. I ate. Today I had some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's something good to keep when you don't have a lot of storage space and you don't have a big fridge. I like to keep jellies in the fridge because I don't like warm jelly, but you don't have to keep it in the refrigerator. I like to keep them in the fridge even before they're opened, but some of them you need to keep refrigerated after opening. Check out the container. It'll tell you right on the container, but things just last longer, and I think it tastes better. So I had some peanut butter and jelly with apricot jelly preserves, crunchy peanut butter, and some bread. I had some sandwiches today. Yesterday I had a nice bowl of mac and cheese with some, I chopped up some bacon and I chopped up some sliced ham and mixed it in with the mac and cheese. That was pretty good. As I get settled in, as things move forward, I will continue figuring out how to eat healthier and how to plan my meals better, and to, because I'm not going to be able to store food. I'm not going to be able to do the prepper thing. Let's see. I did cave in and ordered a water filter. I used to have a big Berkey system with the black filter elements and the PF2 fluoride removal filters, and it's a 2.5 gallon gravity fed water filter system, and I had that thing for, let me think, I got it before my son was even a year old, and my son is 15 now, so 14, 13. I had that thing for about 12 years, and it worked great. So I had to do some homework, because right now that same Berkey system with all the things that I had with mine, $500. That's what it would cost to buy it right now, $500. And then Berkey's having all kinds of lawsuits and problems, and they're sold out everywhere. Their filters are sold out. But anyway, even if I could find everything, a supplier that has it all, $500 is what it's going to cost. I don't have $500, but I need a water filter. I have a water bottle with a filter, but I can't pour the water out of it. I don't have a way. I tried to use a life straw that I have, but it won't take the chlorine out. So I put that back in my camping supply. And I do have a Katahdin pump water filter that can pump gallons, fast. I can fill a gallon jug with that thing in no time flat because it's a pump and it's got 2 hoses coming off of it. But I don't even think that that would take the chlorine out of the water. And it's not a filter for city water. It's a filter for nature water coming out of a stream or a pond or something like that. That's different. When you're drinking city water, it's just pumped full of fucking chemicals. Chlorine and fluoride and all kinds of horrible shit that you got to get out of it before you can drink it. And so I did a lot of research, and I went on YouTube and I watched a video where this woman compared the top 9 gravity fed, it was like 6 to 9 different gravity fed water filtration systems. And Big Berkey was the number one. Tested the best. She had independent labs test the water that came out of them and all these different things, and she based her evaluation on lots of different factors, and the Big Berkey came out on top. Well, but the Big Berkey system is $500. Well, the second place system is this one that you can get on Amazon. Pure Well, I think, is the name of it. Well, Amazon had a flash sale yesterday because I kind of had these things bookmarked, these off-brand Berkey filters, and the Pure Well 2.5 gallon gravity fed system without the fluoride filters, just the black filter elements, was on sale for $130. And so I'm like, I mean, you're going to spend that much on if I'm going over to Target and getting a gallon of water every day or every couple of days, because I go through a lot of water. And if I'm going through a gallon at a time, 2-3 gallons a week, that $130 is only going to take a few months to, I got to do something. I have to be able to have water at the house on demand. And I need a system that will allow me to stockpile water and have it off to the side just in case things stop working. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. But anyway, I ordered the water filtration system. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. There's good and bad reviews on Amazon, mostly good, but I always pay attention to the bad reviews. It got second place on this independent testing, pretty thorough set of tests. But the Berkey was so expensive that I was actually considering waiting a little bit and just suffering without it and getting a countertop reverse osmosis system. And I forget the brand that I was looking at, but I was going to get the number 1 rated countertop where it's got a reservoir, you pour water into it, and then it goes through a reverse osmosis filter and has a spigot that you can fill up your glasses, your pots and pans, whenever you want filtered water. It's there on demand, because a reverse osmosis filter works a lot faster than a gravity filter. A gravity filter, a good one, when you fill the 2.5 gallons, you can go to sleep, because it's going to take hours before you get enough water to use out of that. Reverse osmosis, you just hit the button and you got water. It goes right through. Those filters flow faster. So you can have water on demand. But those systems were $350 with $100 off if you order right from their website instead of Amazon. So Amazon had them for $450, direct from the website $350. I forget the name of the brand that I was going to go with, but I don't have enough money to do that right now. So that was just something that was but then this flash sale came up for the gravity filter. And here's what I'm thinking, worst case scenario. Unless the thing is a complete hunk of junk, if the filter elements don't work, they can be replaced with the black Berkey filter elements, and I can get fluoride filters later if I want, but I need to get something now. I don't even really I really don't feel comfortable spending the $130 on this thing, but I need water is life. Water is very important. Water is more important than food. So if you're not drinking good water, then you're not living. You're falling apart, whether you believe it or not. I'm not drinking water out of the tap here. I took one sip and I was like, oh, it tastes like you're drinking water right out of a swimming pool with all the chlorine and everything in it. It's gross. And so it's just chemical-filled city water. I'd rather drink out of a stagnant pond than drink the chemicals that the cities put in the water. I feel like that would be a better bet. But I'm not going to go over to the, closest river and start pulling water out of it either with my Katahdin pump system, right? But so that's the water situation. I'll show you guys when I get that. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. I'm going to be pretty tired after a 40-mile bicycle commute. Especially after what happened today. So today I had to take the trash out because the trash gets picked up tomorrow. And for the first time, I had a bag of laundry, a dirty clothes bag. I took it over to the garage and I put clothes in the washing machine and hit the button to start. Washing machine died. Today, the washing machine shit the bed. The other people that live here say that it's been acting up and it's had some problems. And the owner was going to replace it, but every time it starts acting up, it just magically fixes itself and it starts working again. And so everybody here has been able to wash their clothes. They did say that you don't want to fill it up more than halfway. It's an older washing machine, etc., etc. But it flat out just stopped working. So now I have a 60-pound bag of soaking wet clothes sitting out on the porch that I can't wash. And so my options are wash them in a tiny little sink here in the apartment or in the shower, like you might have to do when you're in prison. Once again, the prison, I'm basically living out of a jail cell. The closest laundromat to this house is 3 miles away. They're open until 9 o'clock. I would have to put on a 60-pound bag of soaking wet clothes, hike 3 miles, do all of the laundry at the laundromat, which is just one load. And it probably, with those industrial size machines, it wouldn't take very long, the wash and then the dry. But I'm going to have to sit there while that's going on. And then I'm going to have to hike 3 miles back. I'm not carrying 60 pounds of laundry on my back while I ride a bicycle at the same time. I don't feel like that's not what I'm doing. So a 3 mile, that's an hour to an hour, 15 minutes each way. So that's 2.5 hours of walking plus an hour to an hour and a half of sitting at that's like 6 hours. That's like a 6 hours of my day just to go do laundry at a laundromat because I don't have a car. So now I gotta wait for the landlord to come fix the washing machine or get a new washing machine. Maybe he'll do it this weekend. He's gonna try and fix the water heater this weekend. He's got a plumber and electrician coming tomorrow to look at that. So I'm not saying that this happened today. He's at work. The washing machine just broke an hour or two ago, and that's what the guy was knocking on the door about because we couldn't even get the thing to drain the water out and spin cycle or like to rinse and get the water out of the washing machine so that I could at least bundle up my stuff and throw it back in the dirty clothes bag and set it out on the porch. But now I've got, like I said, I've got a big bag that weighs, now with all the water in it, this bag weighs like 60-something pounds, full of clothes. They're going to be soaking wet, sitting there until the washing machine till we get a new washing machine. So my clothes are going to be completely stank-ass, mold-ridden, and fucking who knows what while they sit there waiting to get washed because they're just completely trashed now. And if I were to lay these things out, it would cover the fucking backyard. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, I had about a week and a half to 2 weeks of clothes in this bag. And at my friend's old house, I could have done this all in one load. Here, I would need to do it in 2 loads. But the washing machine, it's an old washing machine. It just decided to die today on my load of laundry. The other people in the house, they just did their laundry like within the last couple of days. They didn't have any problems. As soon as I go to wash, boom, thing dies. I don't know if the power outages today put the kibosh on the electronics inside of it. I don't know. I don't know how these things work, but it sucks. It sucks. I can't do my fucking laundry. I can't even dry the clothes that are out there. They're just going to be they're going to be completely nasty. Will it be the worst that I've ever had in terms of clothing? No. I've gone on camping trips where I'm gone for 20 days and I've got a giant dirty clothes bag of swampy ass, literal, swimming in creeks and swamps and lakes and who knows what, and sweat and everything else you could possibly imagine, sitting in the back of a truck, sitting in the back of a Jeep for 20 days, and then when I get home, dump that thing in the washing machine and it all gets clean. So I'm not that worried about it. It's not the end of the world. It's just irritating. It's irritating. But God is just testing my patience this week on a lot of different things, because it seems like all these electronic things that I try to do and set up, I'm dealing with glitches, problems, software that doesn't work. There's other examples that I could go through of things that I've tried to do this week, or software that's been glitchy or hard to work with. I just don't have time to list it all. But it's been a frustrating week, but at the same time, there's a lot of good things going on. I've got the cycling. So I talked about the 40-mile commute to and from the bakery over the last couple of videos, over the last video or two, and I had, now that I have computers set up and a big screen to look at and I can really kind of dig in and see what's going on, I analyzed the way I went to work and the way I came back. I submitted a report to Google Maps about the road that doesn't exist. So there's a cul-de-sac, and Google told me to go through the cul-de-sac and make a right on this road and you'll be right at your job. I was less than a quarter mile away. There's a Target right next door to where I work, okay? So there's a cul-de-sac where there's people that live in these gated community homes, and they are literally a quarter mile from Target, okay? They're a quarter mile away from the store. But if they want to drive to the store, it's like a 5 or 6 mile drive for them to get to Target from where they live, even though it's right fucking there because of the way these cul-de-sacs in Texas are horrid. They will literally cram 50,000 homes into a spot with all these loops and all these different ways to go, with one single entrance and exit to the entire fucking thing. And you can go on like a 6 mile loop and end up right back where you were, and right back where you were is the only way to get in and out of that community. And so my thought is, the reason why there's 2 reasons why they're not building communities on a grid system anymore. Number 1 is because that's the selling point that they're going to tell you is when you live on a grid, if people want to avoid being in traffic jams, they'll just zigzag over a couple of streets and drive down your quiet street, and people are going to be driving through your neighborhood that have no business being in your neighborhood. And that's the whole point of a cul-de-sac, is the only reason to pull into the cul-de-sac is if you actually live there or you're going to see somebody there. And that's the only reason. And so these things are designed so that there's no through traffic and that there's nobody back there that doesn't belong back there. That's what they tell you to sell it to you. But the real reason, in my opinion, is, think about when the Democrats were trying to quarantine everybody into their homes and lock everything down, right? Well, if everybody lives in one of these fucking ridiculous cul-de-sac communities, the one that I was just living in with my friend, they could put 2 soldiers in a tank at the end of this one road, and they could probably block 150 150,000 people from being able to leave their homes. When you count all the people that live on the road that goes back and all the different planned communities that branch off of that road, and the fact that that road is the only way in and out of any of it, and there's no other way to go. There's no other way to walk if you want to go somewhere. That's how walled off this stuff is. They can lock 150,000 people in their homes, or at least keep them confined to their community with 2 soldiers and a tank at the end of one road. Put one of those gates that come down, the bar that goes across the road, where you got to show your papers and you got people pointing machine guns at you when you pull up. That's the end. That's the end. They can lock everybody in their homes if everybody lived in a place like that. And I think, you know, that's the more explainable reason as to why most of these modern suburban communities are being built this way. It's not to make it peace and quiet for the people that live there. It's to lock you in to a prison, a McMansion prison, when the government decides to just lock it all down. So keep that in mind. You know, every place I've ever lived has multiple ways to. At the end of my old driveway, I could turn right, I could turn left. Very shortly after that, I got another left, right, or go straight choice. And so even if a road is closed and blocked off because something's going on, I can still go 6 other ways to get to the place I'm trying to go. I don't want to live in a place where there's literally one way to go. For example, at my friend's house, they have to go pick up their daughter from school every day. There was like an accident or something on the road, and the road was just stopped. 3 to 5 mile traffic jam, dead stop. Nobody could go anywhere because the road was blocked. It's a 2-lane road, 1 lane in each direction for something like 100 and something thousand people that all have to come in and out of these cul-de-sacs to take this one road, and it's the only way you can go. And all they did was blocked off that road for an hour. Boom, the whole place is in chaos. No, they called the school. I guess they had to keep the school open for another 2 hours because all the people that live in this community that couldn't get out of their own community, their kids were stuck at school. I have never lived in a place where I would be completely stuck and unable to leave at any point I want to. They would have to close multiple roads and they would have to close a lot of different things because there's always a way that you can go to get in and out of your neighborhood. But these cul-de-sacs, they fucking suck. If I had the money to live that it would require to live in the Woodlands or one of these ultra planned communities, it would be the last place on earth that I would choose to live. By far. You can take that same amount of money and buy a big piece of land somewhere and build a modest home on that land and have no freaking neighbors that are so close that you can just look at each other in the eye across a very skinny yard through the windows of each other's homes. And, you know, you can't even tell which house is yours because there's 700 homes that look identical all in a freaking loop, with some goofy-ass, fancy, rich people-sounding street names, but they're all carbon copies of each other. And, like, I go through some of these neighborhoods, I can't figure out a house that I've been to a dozen times because every single house looks exactly the same, and it's like, where the hell am I? But, you know, this isn't a rip on my friend or anything. There's pros and cons to every decision that you make like that. And there were a lot of good things that came to them from buying the house that they bought in the place that they bought it. So, you know, that's not like a rip on anybody. It's just, I'm talking from the point of view of what I would do. And I would never, ever buy a home in something like that. Ever. There's no way, no freaking way. What do you think a guy like me, you've seen enough of my videos, what do you think I'm going to do when Karen comes up and knocks on my door and threatens me with a $300 fine because it took me 6 hours to bring my garbage can back into the garage after the trash man left that day? And I'm not supposed to have an empty garbage can at the end of my driveway. You think You think there ain't gonna be no freaking problems when Karen comes banging on my door about she doesn't like the color of my grass, or she, you know, she doesn't like the fact that I have a car that's more than 20 years old parked in the driveway, or because I'm flying an American flag, she's gonna report me to the HOA. Like, no, HOA Karen and I are not gonna be good neighbors. We're not gonna get along. So why the fuck would I want to live next door to that dumb bitch? So that's that. So we're done with that rant. Washing machine. So the only thing I really have left to talk about is the bicycle commute. And if I had more ambition, time, and other things like that, I would talk about, aside from Google giving me that wrong turn through the cul-de-sac, I'll never make that mistake again because it's implanted in my head. I will remember not to turn there. In fact, it's only going to take me one more ride, maybe two, before I have the perfect route memorized. And the reason why, because there's really 3 ways I can go. Google Maps kind of mapped out 3 different options for me, and I studied them. After I rode to and from, I took one way to get to work, and I took a different way back. And I analyzed them, and I got the feel for what I was in for both ways. And I came to some conclusions that Google's mileage range is from 18 to 22 miles. I've got it down to where I can go 20 miles. It's going to be 2 miles more than the 18-mile option, but it's going to be a much less dangerous ride and peaceful and tranquil, especially in the mornings, especially having to go early in the morning. It's going to be nice. And even the ride home in the evening, it wasn't bad until I got to the Route 45. Route 45 is a major north-south highway that comes in and out of Houston. And it's like an 8-lane highway, 4 to 6 lanes in each direction, plus an access road on both sides that's 3 lanes wide on each side. And people it's crazy loud, it's crazy speeds. So I had to take the access road twice on the first day of my bicycle commute. I didn't have to, but I didn't know this. And that access road is a bit unsettling because people are flying by you going 75, 80 miles an hour on this access road, which you can get on and off Route 45 from. And there's a lot of places where you're on the right lane, but now you're in the middle lane and you've got to move back over, but you've got to merge with traffic and all this stuff. And I used to enjoy riding in places like that more than I do now. I'll do it. I'm not afraid of it. I know how to do it, and I know how to keep myself safe, but I don't enjoy it. It's nerve-wracking, and it's just loud and obnoxious, and it's just not fun. And so when I'm looking at the maps, what I see and understand now is there's a lot of your navigation, a lot of your options when you're traveling from point A to B. We've already talked about the cul-de-sac situation where you can go through a neighborhood that's full of roads and streets, but there's only one way to actually go through it from beginning to end. If you deviate and you try to go any other way, you're just going to end up in a dead end, or you're going to go around in a big loop and end up right back where you started and lose all that time because there's literally one road to go through it. So aside from that, there's a body of water that comes through here, and it's called Spring Creek. And, you know, on a normal day, it looks like a creek. It's a big creek. It's like bigger than a creek, but smaller than a river. But when you look at it from a satellite photo or a map, none of the land around it is developed because down south or in the areas, it's called the coastal plains, okay? When you're in these areas, the lowlands, before you get to the ocean, the waterways are a lot trickier to deal with. And flooding is a lot more dramatic when it does flood. Now, I lived in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh floods a lot. But Pittsburgh is also full of hills. And so as long as you're above the floodplain level, you're not going to have to worry about your house being underwater if you're on top of a hill. It's only the floodplains where people worry about floods. So here at Spring Creek, you can tell. I can just look at this and say, yeah, when there's a big thunderstorm or a big storm coming through here, this thing goes from being a creek to a raging torrent, and it probably floods all the way up to a certain level. I can just tell. If you're observant, you can see how high the water can get. If you look around, there's signs of it everywhere. Any place where you're at, standing next to a moving body of water, there's telltale signs all around you that will tell you how high that water actually gets. And there's places I've been camping before where the water looks like it's only this deep right now, but a good storm comes through, it can be up over your head. And there's evidence of this because there's weeds wrapped around the trees higher than my head, which means the water got that high and put those things there. And that's the kind of stuff that you look for. So when you're looking on a map around Spring Creek as it flows through the woodlands in this area of Houston, there's a good amount of distance on either side of this creek that's not developed at all. It's the floodplains. So when it floods, that whole area is going to be wet. And so as a result of the challenging terrain of dealing with this creek/river, there's in a span of 8 miles from Route 45 going west, there's 3 bridges that cross this creek. 3 bridges in a span of 8 miles, Route 45 being one of the 3 bridges. So when it comes to my bike ride to work, I can either take the Route 45 access road on either side of Route 45, and that will take me over Spring Creek and get me to the other side. But like I said, that's a nightmare to bike on, and that's at least 5 or 6 miles of my 20-mile bike ride that I've got to be on that road, and I don't want that. There's another road a couple of miles to the west of that. I forget the name of the road, but I've already done it. I've rode across the bridge on that road, and it's much more tranquil, much more peaceful. There's cars coming and going, but it's not ridiculously crazy. And then there's a couple of bike trails, there's one bicycle trail along that route that bypasses that only bicycles can go and make this cut through, where if you were driving, you would have to, or if I were just taking the roads, I would have to go way out of my way and add miles to my trip. So this bike trail actually cuts on a diagonal and saves me a little bit of time, even though on the map it doesn't look like it does. But when you start really like seeing how all these roads connect together and why they're the way they are, it totally makes sense. And then there's the third bridge that crosses Spring Creek, is much further to the west, and it would actually take me out of my way, and it would actually add a few more miles to my ride if I rode all the way down to that bridge and crossed it there. And so when I get to the other side of Spring Creek, then the problem becomes, the obstacle in my way is the cul-de-sac neighborhood of the Woodlands, this ultra-planned community where you have to be very careful which roads you take, because like I said, only certain roads actually go through the Woodlands. A lot of the roads, you'll come up to a main intersection and it'll look like you can go left or right or straight, but if you go left or right, it's a dead end, or it's just a big loop that takes you right back to the same intersection, because it's just a bunch of rich assholes living in a cul-de-sac that have one way to get in and out of the cul-de-sac, that entranceway at that intersection where you're sitting at thinking you might be able to go that way, and you can't. And so the Woodlands is the other thing that you got to figure out how to navigate through. And it's now that I've studied the map and I've looked at like the routes that I took and the routes that Google suggested, and then just my own knowledge of having traveled through there and here and there, and just kind of connecting the dots in my mind of all the different landmarks and the different things I've seen. And I've been here a few months, so, and I have traveled all over this area. But when you're on a bicycle, it starts to make a lot more sense because you're seeing it at a more intimate level. And so you actually really start to ingrain, like, even things like potholes in the road and just little details about the ride, will be stuck in your head. And it just be, so I'm going to give it one more day after tomorrow. I'm going to ride with the GPS turned on with a map, instead of Google telling me turn by turn directions, I'm using a GPX file that I created myself, and I'm just going to have a map turned on with my location centered, and I'm just going to follow the line because I actually know where I'm going now. And so I don't need Google to tell me in 300 yards, make a left or any. I just got to have the line in front of me. So in case I do deviate from, or I can, while I'm riding, I can pinch and zoom and just kind of rotate the map and just kind of get a feel for what's coming up. And just, it's one step above having it fully ingrained in my head. One step above flying blind like I did on Monday, completely blind, just letting Google drive. Now I'm a step above that towards being able to just do it out of my head. And a couple more rides, I'm not even going to have the map turned on. I'm going to know exactly where to go, what turns to make, how it all connects. Even if I make a wrong turn, I'll know, go straight until you get to this road because this is the north-south road that goes through here and all that kind of stuff. It's all coming into my head very clearly after I studied the maps, did the blind drive, and just kind of logically thought of some things. Like I argued with Google in terms of, no, I'm going to go this way instead of that way you're telling me. But this other way that you're telling me to cut through this one thing and go that way, I'll give that a shot. And like we kind of had a negotiation. I created a customized GPX file, loaded it to an app on my phone, and I'm just going to use that to navigate tomorrow. And it's going to be a much looser because I've done it. And I don't have to take the Route 45 access road at all. I have to cross it. I have to cross over from where I live to the other side of Route 45, but that's less than a mile away. And then I make a right, and on this road, I go straight until I get to another thing where I've got to turn left and make another quick right, go across Spring Creek, and then I hop on this bicycle trail that takes me through another. It's almost like skipping. It cuts a couple miles off the trip, and it's a wide, easy. It's a pretty easy bike path to ride on. It's a nice peaceful ride, especially in the morning. There isn't going to be anybody else on the trail. It's going to be a nice tranquil thing. It's a couple of miles, like maybe 2-3 miles of the 20. And then when I come out of that bike trail, I'm going to be in the woodlands, which the roads going through the woodlands are pretty decent in terms of, if they don't have, some of them have pretty wide shoulders, but the shoulders are in bad shape. But the traffic is so light, at least the ways I've taken, I can ride in the lane without having to worry about people. People have plenty of room to go around me. I'm not getting honked at. People aren't swearing and screaming at me. I can take the lane where it's nice and smooth. If I really get irritated and don't want to deal with traffic, most of the roads in the woodlands have a dedicated bicycle trail that runs parallel to the road, but they go up and down a little bit, and they have lots of twists and turns, and you're not going to be able to maintain more than 10-15 miles an hour on those bike trails, where on the road I can go 20 to 25 miles an hour. And so it's a big difference when you're going on a 20-mile ride. That 10 miles an hour makes a big difference in the time it's going to take you to get to work or go home. So I'm trying to take the fastest way, but balance it out where I'm not riding on crazy ass roads that drive me nuts, like the Route 45 access road. And so those are the kinds of things that you kind of just have to learn by doing. And, the bicycle, navigating your area on a bicycle is definitely the best way to get to know where you live. And with that, I just got a warning that my phone is running low on space. And before I can even upload this video to YouTube, I'm going to have to clear space off. So I'm just going to let you all go. And that's the update for the last couple of days. There's been some challenges, some frustrations. I'm supposed to have a bigger fridge. I've got this tiny little refrigerator, and the landlord said that he would put a bigger one in here, but now he's got to fix the water heater. He's got to get a new washing machine. Those are more important. And I'm going to be bugging him, hey, where's that bigger fridge you said you were going to put in here? So these are all things that I'm dealing with, and I've only been here since Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I've been here 6 days, and I've already got 3 major things that have to be fixed. But that's, it's not my fault. That's what it's like being a landlord, and that's why I'm never going to be one. So anyway, the guy's cool. I don't have any problems with him. I'm going to give him a chance to do everything right and to, not be Karen screaming and yelling about everything. And we're just going to see how it goes. And like I said originally, I signed a 6-month lease to live here. And I can live in a tent for 6 months. So if I can live in a tent for 6 months and not be miserable, I can live in a tiny house, cabin thing, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to be okay. And with that, I think the next video I do will probably be Saturday. Maybe I'll do a quick update tomorrow, I don't know. But I'm going to sit down and I'm going to answer some of the questions and respond to some of your comments in a video coming up. But right now, I just don't have the energy or anything else to do that. So for now, peace out, and we'll talk again.